Now there's another special tool they recommend you using before you guide the whole assembly on, and it's this guide right here. The part number for Miller is 10064, and it just slides in the end where the axle would and butts up against there. That way you have a way to guide. Being that it's so heavy and it does have some distance to go, this helps you get up and learn without damaging the seal. So make sure you've got this. If you've got one of these, I mean, odds of you having this just to do a job 1 or 2 times is one thing. But, you know, being a dealership, we do have them. If you don't, just take care not to damage the splines or the threads, excuse me, where the hub bearing nut goes on. And also just take your time guiding it on. Alright, so we got this heavy beast back on here now, and it's fully up against the differential and fully seated. And we can go ahead and take our guide off. We can work on getting our outer bearing back on to help support the end of this hub. Pick it up. There we go. Now, like I said, we do have that keyed area on the nut right here that we need to line up with the diff. Once we get it on, then it's a matter of trying to get it started and go down. Now, there's a torque sequence on this. Now, initially, when you tighten this down, you're going to go 70 foot-pounds. And what I recommend doing is kind of rotating the hub while you're at it. That way it gets seated properly. And then what you do, you're supposed to back off 90 degrees and then go back to 30 foot-pounds. And that should give you about 0 in play. And that's the proper way to do it. Now let's go ahead and set up our torque wrench to 70. There we go. Bring in an adapter. Alright. We'll start working it on there. As we go, we'll rotate it. And it'll get easier to rotate as it finally seats itself where it's supposed to be. There you go. And then go till you get 70. It's kind of hard to tell because you've got the outer nut on that fixture with the teeth, so it's kind of grabbing at the same time. But you'll finally get to a point where that's our 70 right there. Now what we do is we'll back off, like I said, 90 degrees. That's about 90. And then we'll go back and finish it with our 30 foot-pounds. So we're back down to 30. So it gets to that point where the teeth want to start grabbing. Wait till it stops. Make sure you feel good. That's 30 right there. There we go. We got good movement out of our road. Everything's smooth. Nothing binding up. So now we're done with that. Now, like I said, the axle itself, when it slides on, has an O-ring on the axle. Now, what I still like to do, I still kind of wipe the surface clean. And I get me a little bit of sealant. RTV, whatever you want to call it, and I put a nice little smear, just a small amount, smear on the outside, and then I seat it back in. That way, if the O-ring's got any nicks or anything in it, it won't cause any problems, and it'll be completely sealed. And then we'll slide it in once we get that point ready. All right, and we're just going to slide the axle back up in here. Now, it may take a few different tries to get everything lined up perfectly, because keep in mind, the end of that shaft has to line up with the ring and pinions, so there's splines in there. So you get a long shaft you're trying to get into a right position. Now, just make sure you keep your fingers out of the way as far as try not to hurt yourself. Now, you're gonna have to maneuver it around. You're gonna have to lift. You're gonna have to try a couple things till it finally goes in. But like I said, you're dealing with something that's what, 3, almost 4 feet long. So getting it right on the first try is very hard. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to keep trying. Sometimes it's kind of a touchy-feely type thing. There we go. Voila. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my bolts. Go ahead and get the bolts on it. And then I'll give you a torque stick on what you need to do to tighten down the bolts as far as what amount. Hey, so we're ready to go ahead and torque down these bolts. We got a total of 8 of these 15mm bolts. and the torque for the axle flange to the axle hub is 98 foot-pounds. So tighten them down to 98 foot-pounds. Once you get that on, then everything's going to be just the opposite of what we did. We're going to put the caliper mount back on. We're going to put the two big 1 3/16 bolts holding that back onto the differential. Then it's a matter of just squeezing the piston and boots back into the calipers. Put your pads on. Put everything back on with your two 15mm bolts for the caliper slides, and then you're just going to mount your rims and tires back on. Like I said, it doesn't hurt to add a little bit of grease around the hub right here where the rim's going to go on. That way, hopefully, to give it a little something next time to where it won't stick. What would be even better is if you got any anti-seize. You got some anti-seize, put it around that flange right there, so that next time you got to take these rims, tires off, you're not having to fight. Because heaven forbid, it's going to be on the side of the road, middle of the night, pouring down rain. So that's the process from start to finish. So just take your time. If you've got the special tools to do it, great. If not, now you know why they charge what they charge to do a brake job on a 45 and 5500 series trucks, because special tools required. It does take some time. So that's the process. Alright, so as you can see in this slide, this is the 98 foot-pounds on the bolts holding the axle flange to the rotor assembly. Also, we're going to repeat on this. This is the spindle nut being tightened down, which is the 70 foot-pounds. Back off and do your final 30 foot-pounds. Now the spec for this truck is the second from the bottom, 45 5500 dual rear wheel. We're at 115 foot-pounds. Now that is the rotor bolted to the hub before we put it on the vehicle. Then we got special tool 10051 hub nut socket, less than $30. Highly recommend this one. Can't do it without it. Then we got an optional tool, which is 10053. If you find something about the same diameter, you should be fine, as long as you don't damage the seal going back with it, because it's not a cheap seal. Alright, so we got our final tool, 10064. It's another optional item. That's that hub guide. You can do it without it. Just take care when you're lifting at heavy assembly and putting it on that you don't damage the seal. Alright, so you've had a chance to watch the video. Now, couple important steps here I didn't mention earlier that I want to now before you even try to tackle this job. If you do not have a heavy-duty jack to lift the rear of this truck up, stop. Take it to a repair shop that does. If you do not have jack stands to support the vehicle once you've jacked it up and took that tire off, stop. Take it to a repair shop. There's nothing light about this vehicle. All the parts, all the bolts, everything's either tight, heavy, bulky, whatever. This all means dangerous. So there's a big safety factor there. So if you've got the equipment, the knowledge, the skill, and you're capable of taking this task on, awesome, do it. Now you know step by step what to do. If you don't, stop. I don't want you to hurt yourself or hurt the vehicle or anything. Take it to the shop. Now you'll know step by step what they're having to do, and you know why they charge what they charge, because it's not your typical brake job, so the price is going to be a whole lot more. As far as the special tools, yeah, you can get by without a few of them. You can probably get by without the guide. As far as the seal driver, just get something that's not going to damage the seal. Maybe something that's close to the same outer diameter you can use to tap down. You'll probably be okay. Now, as far as the socket, definitely purchase the socket. The socket doesn't cost that much. It's less than $30 if I remember correctly. You probably saw it in the website link I've already attached. The other two are well over $100. I can understand not getting those, but nonetheless, get the socket. So you've watched the video. It's time for you to give the thumbs up, thumbs down. Also help out by subscribing. That helps get notified when new videos like this come out and any important details. Also, you can check us on Facebook. There's going to be a link at the bottom, and also on the main page. And we're also now on Twitter, so there's a couple different ways you can keep up with us. So I'm sure you have one of the three mentioned items. So thanks again for watching these videos, and I always appreciate your comments, suggestions, everything. And you keep watching, I'll keep making them.